simulation studies branch. We did computer-aided wargaming. We set up exercises that would exercise the entire U.S. military force in Japan, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force. And we were training the staffs. It was an exercise called Yamasakura, and worked on that for 3 years. It was interesting dealing with the Japanese, dealing with the counselor staff. One of our exercises, we always put flash traffic exercise on top, but the printer didn't work right for some reason. Folks thought that there was a real exercise, non-combatant evacuation, NEO, happening, and it got the ambassador off the tennis court to deal with the NEO. Unless a guy named Walter Mondale, who'd been Vice President of the United States at one point. And once he found out what was going on, he was, man, include this in all this stuff. It was interesting dealing, basically the Japanese Pentagon, we'd go there and work. It was at the Roppongi district, meeting the Japanese, meeting the Chief of Staff of the Japanese Army. It was an interesting experience and such. Learning how to eat sushi was an interesting experience. I was reaching the end of my career. When you put your retirement paperwork in, the Army will assign you geographically close to where you want to retire, and you're not counted against the in-strength manning. So I asked to be assigned to Northern California, so back to the Presidio, and I worked with a reserve division called, it was the 91st Training Division, and we worked with exercising staffs, simulation warning, and so I was assigned there. It was kind of cool to live in San Francisco on the Presidio, commute to the East Bay each day, and being back there. And that was, man, 18 years ago. Time flies. Anyway, that's my career from college to retirement. Now, some of the crazy. Somebody asked me, "Are there any regrets?" Yeah. When I was in the infantry, aviation was not a branch. There was another branch we have now that was not a branch, Special Forces. Both were considered career killers to an Army officer because as an infantry officer, you would spend 3 years as an infantry officer, 3 years as a pilot, 3 years as an infantry officer, 3 years as a pilot, and back and forth because you had to stay smart in both. Same thing with Special Forces. A lot of special operators would come up and hang out in the infantry for a while. Well, when you look at competitive slots like a company command, if you're an infantry battalion commander, you've got only so many command slots, and you've got a lot of captains or lieutenants, senior lieutenants or captains wanting that job. Are you going to give that command slot to a guy that's going to be there all the time, or a guy that's going to every 3 years go away and fly helicopters? So it was very difficult to get promoted a lot of captains into their career, pilots into their career as captains, because it was like a catch-22. To be a company commander in aviation until the new TME came up, you had to be a major. But in order to be a major, you had to have a company command, so you couldn't get there. Special Forces, same type of thing, kind of a career killer. I'd always wanted to fly, and so I chose aviation. But at the time I was going up to be a Pathfinder, my battalion commander goes, "Have you thought about Special Forces?" I have, but to me it seemed like a career killer. I think if I could go back to that day in 1980, offer that again, I would have gone Special Forces instead of aviation. That more of that was in my blood. But that's really the only regret I have about my whole military career is that choice. I was trying to get into an aviation unit when I hurt my knee. It was Task Force 160th, 160th Special Aviation, Special Operations Aviation Regiment. And one of the company commanders, aviation company commanders at Fort Bragg, when I was a Pathfinder, was commander. He came through and recruited to the Fort Ord. He goes, "Have you thought about coming to fly for us?" And hadn't thought about it, but wow, that'd be cool. It was during the land nav part of, you had to do certain things that your units showed you in shape and all sorts of stuff like that. And then you'd go back and go through the process there. I didn't even make it there. I tore my knee up and then into that. When I was, you guys, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, what's the age group here? Sophomore, okay. When I was a sophomore in high school, I knew I wanted to go to the military. 2 years before that, I'd gone to Norton Air Force Base and visited my older brother who was in the Air Force. He's retired Air Force, Master Sergeant. I have to get Air Force written mixed up. He took me out in the flight line, got to walk on to an aircraft called the C-141 and something about the smell of the JP8, JP4, the sense of urgency, the sense of camaraderie. I want to do this for a living. I knew at that age I wanted to be in the military. When I was a freshman in college, right out of high school, I went down to the University of San Francisco and took the testing for Air Force ROTC. It was only a 2-year program, so I would have had to, one more year of junior, I was going to a junior college and then on. I was oriented more towards the Air Force at that time in my life, in high school. It wasn't until about mid-70s that I started looking at the Army going, oh, this would be cool, and decided I liked the Army. I could do all the things I wanted to, plus the infantry, I could fly, all this sort of stuff. But I knew at an early age I wanted to do it for a living. And I look back with absolute no regrets on everything I did. There are times in any job, you go and you have a day, and it's a lousy day. But in the military, you could go home, get a good night's sleep, and come back, and it's another day. I can't think of a day that I did not look forward to getting up and going to work in the Army. In the 20 years I was in, I absolutely loved it. I know it had been the same in other branches also, whether I got Navy. My family was Navy. I'm the black sheep of the family. Everyone except for my older brother was Navy. He went Air Force. My dad couldn't understand why I wanted to be a dog face. My dad had been in the Navy in World War II. He was, ran landing craft. You know, he was at Iwo Jima bringing folks in and out. And in fact, small family history. Recently, I was at a family get-together, and an uncle who was in the infantry and invaded the Philippines. He showed me a picture. He goes, I'm in that picture. And it's an aerial shot of landing craft. He goes, and your father is too. They were both 2 brothers out of a large family. My dad was running landing craft, and my uncle was going ashore. They didn't know they were both there. Yes, sir?
My great-grandpa was part of a airborne division, and he showed me a picture of from the top view.
Oh, yeah?
Philippines. He said he was in there too.
Yeah, I think that was 17th Airborne Division that was in the Philippines. And it's any chance you have to get around a family member, or if you're visiting the VA, someone who served in World War II, talk to them. It's history. It's living history that's evaporating as time goes by. On that point, when I was a lieutenant at the 82nd, one of my soldiers was selected as a Division Soldier of the Year. It was a competition. And it was pretty good for him. I mean, it's a strong competition. The 82nd Division Association flew his family out for, usually around Memorial Day weekend, they do a large division review, a division on parade session. So I went to some things I would normally not have gone to as a lieutenant. We were checking out the hotel that his parents were going to stay at. There's a bunch of guys wearing VFW hats, you know, little garrison cap, and they have jump wings and all this sort of stuff. And talked to them. I was in my greens or BD, I can't remember what I was wearing, but I was in uniform. And so I was definitely an 82nd Airborne Division officer. Came up and talked to these guys. And when you're on jump status, behind your wings you wear a background that's color-coded to match your unit. Mine was blue with a red border with 1 hash on each side, meaning first CO5. Guy came up and saw that I was first CO5. My wings have a star on top. It means I'm a senior parachutist. I've got a certain number of jumps, and I went to jump master school and such. This guy came up, and if you ever see a guy with jump wings and have little brass stars on them, that means those are combat jumps. It's a big difference from just a regular old jumping out of an airplane and nobody's shooting at you. Started talking to these guys, and they all have brass stars on their wings, or bronze stars, I should say. And I'm counting, you know, here's guys. One guy had jump wings and 4 stars. The 82nd made 4 jumps during World War II. And that meant he met all 4 jumps with the 82nd. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. One of the guys had 3 stars. And he goes, wow, does it still take 35 jumps to be a senior parachutist? Yes, it does. Wow, I've only got 8 jumps. It takes 5 jumps to get through jump school. So this guy made 5 jumps, and the next 3 jumps were all into combat. There was one guy that he didn't finish jump school. Basically, his 5th jump was into combat. And talking to these guys, living history, these guys that jumped into Normandy. And when you watch the movie D-Day with John Wayne, or Saving Private Ryan, and see what they went through to talk to these guys. Some don't like to talk about it because it brings back bad memories, but it's when you can talk to someone and get My uncle, he's 86, he never talked about it, and that day he brought the pictures out, and it was remarkable to see, because it's history, it's history. Any questions? Hopefully I didn't put any of you to sleep.